So here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. I love what I get to do because we bring on guests from so many different facets of business, of education, of anything and everything that can help you to further yourself in either your business life or your personal life, or even both. And that's why I love what I get to do, because of amazing guests that I have on this show, like you are about to see in the form of Mr. Chris Carr. You are going to love this young man because of the mission he is on and what he is doing for our students in college. Oh, it's going to be an amazing show, and there are many lessons to learn. And so it's not just about college and scholastics, but there are many messages under the hood that are going to help you to elevate your life going forward. So sit tight and really integrate what you hear from Chris when we bring him on, which will be in just a few moments. The Mind, Body, Business Show, I had this show developed with you in mind, the business person, the entrepreneur who is looking to get that next step ahead, that next tip, that next strategy to model. And in my, many years on this planet, about a decade of which I spent studying only successful people. And I concentrated on those because I started getting very curious. I'm like, why is this person more successful than, say, myself? Why is that person more successful than that person I just studied? And on and on and on. And so I began studying. I had mentors, authors, people I knew personally who I met and worked with, others who I've never met before, but I've read their books and I've followed them on video, others who are no longer with us, who have long since passed, and just dove deep and realized during all this time that there were three common things that kept bubbling to the top. And you probably guessed what those are because it's the very title of this show. Mind is, to a person, each of these successful people had mastered their mindset. That's what the mind stands for in the Mind, Body, Business Show. Mindset. They had developed a very positive, a very powerful, and the most important part was a very flexible mindset. And body was exactly what you probably think that means. That means they took care and take care of those who are still with us, of their bodies, both physically and nutritionally. And then business. Business is very, very multifaceted. And what I found is these individuals had mastered the skill sets that are required to build and scale a thriving business, successful business. When I say skill sets, what does that mean? Skill sets like sales, marketing, team building, systematizing, leadership, scaling your business. I mean, it just goes on. And I could go on for quite a while with all the different things that are really crucial for you to master. The good news is you personally actually do not need to personally master all of these skill sets yourself. What's the magic key to this, you may ask? Yes, it is. If you were to master just one of those skill sets, and it was one in that small list I just gave, if you master just one, because look, mastering anything can take a very long time. What is it? To become an expert at anything takes an average of a focused effort of, I think it was 10,000 hours, which is a long time. Now add 5 or 6 skill sets to master, and goodness sakes, it's going to take a long time. So if you just master this one skill set, then the rest can fall into place. Does anybody out there watching or listening care to know what that one skill set is? No cheating for those of you who have seen the show before. I'll tell you regardless. It is the skill set of, drum roll, I need to get that soundbite, leadership. Leadership is the skill set. If you master that skill set, or even if you're in the process of mastering that skill set, if you're improving in that, you can now pull in other individuals into your team who have also mastered skill sets you have yet to master, or maybe they're in the process of mastering them as well. And now you have a team, and collectively your business, your company has mastered all the skill sets that are necessary to build a thriving and successful business. Now, don't freak out. Don't worry. You don't have to do all this at once. Start with one and build your business like all of us do. We do it 1 foot at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Yes, it does take time, but at least you know how to prioritize your time and go after mastering the skill set of leadership, even if you have no team right now at all. And that means you want to master the skill set of leading yourself. What kind of culture do you want in your business? How do you want to be looked at as a peer? How do you want people to look at you as a leader? How do you want your business to be run? Do you want a positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement? Lots of great things to look into. Many great books have been written on it. And another great artifact of all these successful people is that to a person, they are also very successful readers of books. And with that, I want to segue very quickly into a little segment I affectionately call bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
And yes, Chris Carr is coming on very, very soon. I promise you. Reachyourpeaklibrary.com. Now, before I go any farther, a word of caution, and that is while you're listening tonight, especially to Chris, you're going to learn about other resources, other websites, maybe books. There are many resources that come out of the show. Rather than scratch that itch and go off and click off and look at that resource while the show's going on, instead of doing that, what I would implore of you to do is get out a good old-fashioned piece of paper and a pen, or even do it on your computer, on your notebook, notepad, or what have you, and just write it down. I was going to bring mine up. It's electronic and it went to sleep on me. So, but just bring that up and write it down. And what you want to do is visit it after the show is over. There we go. Finally came back. And so I've got mine started. I've got show notes, getting ready to write down the notes of Mr. Chris Carr, because I know he's going to just crush it. And so the reason is because if you take your focus away for just one moment while you're examining something else, like say reachyourpeaklibrary.com, but let's say Chris is talking and he drops a nugget that could have changed your life forever for the better, but you missed it because your focus was on reading Reach Your Peak Library. What are the books in here? Instead, write it down and visit it after the show so you don't miss that one golden nugget that could change your life forever. I always say the magic happens in the room. So stay in the quote unquote virtual room, stay focused, stay attentive, especially when Chris comes on. That's my soapbox moment. And I'm now stepping down off of that box. Here we go. Reachyourpeaklibrary.com is a site I literally had developed with you in mind. And why is that? I myself did not become a voracious reader until about 11 years ago at the age of 47. I know you're all doing the math. You got it figured out by now. And yeah, so I started reading at a very late age, and I started reading a lot because I learned very quickly that it had a great impact on my results. And that's what all of this is all about, is about getting you greater results and doing so in a shorter amount of time. It's not cheating anything. It's just doing it smart and knowing how to take those quote unquote integrity-based shortcuts. And so I compiled this list of books that I personally had read over a period of time. And not every book on here, not every book I've ever read is on here, just those that had an impact on me, a positive impact on either business or personal or both of lives. And so this is literally a gift to you. You just go to reachyourpeaklibrary.com, write that down, go to it later, pick out the first book that jumps off the page, go get it from any source, Amazon, a bookstore. This is not for the purpose of making money. You can click a link, it'll go to Amazon off this page. Whatever your favorite form of getting books are from, go get it from there. But just pick one and start reading today, the next book, or maybe your first book. And that is reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And one of the great things about great resources, we have the most amazing resource waiting for you right now in the wings by the name of Chris Carr. So I think it's time to bring this young man on and let's have some fun. Here we go.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the one, it is the only Chris Carr. Welcome to the show, my man. How are you doing?
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Oh, my goodness. It's such a blessing to have someone like you, and people will find out why in just a moment. And I can't wait to dive in and peel open and I mean that figuratively, that beautiful brain of yours to see what you are up to and how you are impacting lives and how it will affect everyone watching the show in a great way. Before we do that, real quick, a little bit of housekeeping. We got to pay the bills here on the Mind Body Business Show. So we'll show some quick ads and then we'll come back to Chris in just a moment. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Hey, if you're watching the Mind Body Business Show live right now, then you will have the ability to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort of your choosing, compliments of the Big Insider Secrets. What is it? It is a 5-night vacation stay to one of many destinations across the world. You can see as we go through this very quickly, there's some in Branson and Daytona Beach. These are in the United States, all over the United States, New Orleans, San Diego. There's also Mexico. There's also the UK and Argentina. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. Australia. At the end of this show, you will be given the ability to enter to win. You must be watching this live. If you're not watching live, then head on over to themindbodybusinessshow.com and register to receive automated notifications when we go live the next time. We do not spam. We do not even pitch any products or anything from that notification. It's just simply a way for you to know that we're live, and now you can join us, and you can also participate in this incredible, incredible prize, and you do not want to miss this. So come on live, and you do not want to miss a moment because of our incredible guest experts, and stay on to the end, and we will reveal that at the very end. And if you're struggling with putting a live show together and it's overwhelming and you want a lot of the processes done for you while still enabling you to put on a high quality show and connect with great people and grow your business all at the same time, then write this down: carpetbombmarketing.com. Then head on over to it after the conclusion of tonight's show. Carpet Bomb Marketing. Saturate the marketplace with your message. And to get a free lifetime membership to a phenomenal resource called the Reach Your Peak Club, your free membership will include instant access to deep discounts on major software, services, and top shelf training courses that you need to run your successful business. Think of it as your entrepreneur discount house. Catapult your business to the next level. Sign up for free now and get a hotel discount card worth $200 just for joining. Then go and grab your deep discounts. So write this down, and then after the show, once again, head on over to reachyourpeakclub.com. All right, now let's get back to the show. Yes, let's do that, shall we? Let's get to Chris Carr, and let's introduce this young man and give him the respect he deserves. That sound cool, Chris?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Chris Carr holds a PhD. That means he's smart, ladies and gentlemen, in Slavic Studies from Brown University, and has worked in higher education for the past 15 years, helping young people grow. After consistently observing that students were often unprepared and unsupported in key areas, he founded One Point Mentorship to guide students through the crucial transition into college and to help them set up lives that truly light them up. I mean, come on, we all know this is badly needed currently today. One Point helps students to develop their own personal visions, identify limiting beliefs that hold them back, and craft a plan for execution and accountability in all areas of their lives, emphasizing the importance of academic writing and, I love this last part, leadership skills. Oh, boom. I love it. Now officially, formally welcome to the show, Mr. Carr. I'm so happy to have you on. So happy.
Thanks, Brian. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, my goodness. And so I'm curious. We were talking a little bit before the show, getting to know you. I'd love to hear your background. What led you down this path ultimately to doing what you're doing today? And then explain a little bit about what you are doing today in a little bit more depth than what I just read there a moment ago, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. It's been it's been the scenic route, I like to call it. I'm taking the scenic route to get here, but it's interesting when looking back to see how all the different things combine to what's happening right now. And so I've been working in higher education for 15 years, and that it kind of started. I've always had a passion for education. I actually studied business as an undergraduate, but then I joined the Peace Corps. I lived overseas and taught overseas as a Peace Corps volunteer for 2 years, and that's where I started on this path to kind of where I am, and how I got into the Slavic Studies, the Russian language and literature. I was in Central Asia, so I learned Russian while I was over there, and then I started teaching a few years later back in New York City, where I'm from, at a community college, and I loved it. It was the first job that I've had a bunch of jobs before that, and the first job that I really loved was teaching. I taught academic writing, and it was wonderful, and that led to my PhD and deeper academic work, and then the job that I had most recently, which kind of expanded upon. I kind of went from teaching in the classroom to a job more broadly around mentorship and working with students who were, they're getting ready to graduate and applying for certain things like the Rhodes Scholarship or the Fulbright Scholarship, and helping them not just with the academic components of that application, but helping them manage or develop and articulate their visions. What are the questions they really want to work on in their lives? Not necessarily like what are the job titles they want, but where do they want to be operating in the world? What are the big questions they want to be working on or really investigate? And that really helped me that added a lot to the academic background and the love for teaching to help students really help them to figure out where their path at least begins. Because it's, there's a tendency to want to figure out everything when you're 18 or 19 or 20 and plan out your whole life. And it just doesn't work that way. So, but just getting off and being kind of asking the right questions, investigating the right questions. And that's kind of what that combined with my own personal journey with, struggles, like things dealing with like a lot of anxiety or questioning where my own path is. So getting into, you mentioned the leadership skills, that's been the last like 5 or so, 3 to 5 years of my life, like focused on that. And it just opened my world up in so many ways and led me to want to support students. Cause I saw that they were getting, maybe, they were going to college and studying for whatever they're going to study and looking to get these jobs or whatever they want to do, but not really knowing themselves and not really knowing exactly what they wanted. And that was my own experience back as an undergraduate too. And so it's a combination of like what I'm doing now is a combination of like my own experience versus combined with my academic and professional work and personal journey to really help students. Like the things I've been learning the last couple of years about leadership and personal development, I wish I had someone telling me when I was 18, 19, and 20. And that's really the core of what the main reason why I'm moving away from, working at the job I was at Brown University to starting this venture, One Point Mentorship, to support students and to have an impact on more students at that stage when to really get them to to understand their core values. And yes, money, jobs and salaries and things like that are important, all the numbers, but what is driving you underneath all that? What do you actually care about and value? Those are the things that I think I definitely didn't know as an undergraduate. I didn't spend time on. I didn't know I had to. I didn't know that was what I was supposed to do. And at the time. And I think the more we can get these ideas in front of young people and getting them thinking about it, the better off individually they'll be and societally and more collectively will be as well.
All I have to say is, where were you when I was in college, brother?
Yeah, I asked myself the same thing. Like, where was this 20 years ago?
I mean, I don't mean to really minimize it all, but really, college, I've been through it myself, graduated. It doesn't really prepare you for life so much. It doesn't prepare you for reality. In my mind, now looking back, it prepared me to be very good or better than most on, say, a trivia game show.
Yeah.
So all we knew are facts and figures, but how do you apply them? Where do you apply them? Why are we applying them? And you just hit that. You're hitting the why. Why do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? I wish I had known that. Oh my gosh, I would have saved me 15 to 20 years of being in an actual career working for a corporation. I would not have done it. I look back going, what the heck was I thinking? Wasting all that. It's not a waste. I learned a lot, and I've applied much of what I learned now toward my entrepreneurship company. But I could have learned it much sooner, and I would have been happier a lot longer for a lot longer duration. It was a grind. I hated going to work, even though I somewhat enjoyed what I was doing on occasion. Most of it was just a bunch of just following like sheep, doing what you're told when you're told to do it. And it didn't feel like you were really helping anybody except your own pocket and the corporation to grow their business. But that was about it. And, it's helping my family, which is important. And I get that. but that was it. It was like twofold. I'm helping two things, and that's it. And I was like, that isn't enough. And I realized later in life, I'm not wired that way. I got to get out of this stuff. I'm not employable anymore. Oh my gosh, we got several people. Lorianne Hood, she is a frequenter of this show. Hello. And she said from South Carolina. And my good friend, oh, you know about her. I was telling you all about her, Brigitte Hufele. Yes, Brigitte. Chris is going to be reaching out to you after the show. Brigitte is a master NLP trainer. Grandmaster, I think, is the title in her case. She's got all the way to the top, and she has a fantastic NLP center and does a lot of great things. And I can't recommend her high enough to all those watching and listening. You can't. Here, I'll put her name up there. Write it down. Brigitte Hufele. I know it doesn't sound like, and I'm probably butchering it again. I've been practicing for years. And sorry, Brigitte, if I did that again, but write that name down and then go look her up, brigittehufele.com. And check her out and reach out to her. She will change your life for sure. And so just like Chris Carr is going to change the lives of so many students, and that's what entrepreneurship in my mind is all about, is serving people, elevating them, getting them to that next step, giving them that integrity-based shortcut, if you will, to get to the results faster, just because they now know the correct path to get there. We're all just going in these different paths, trying to find the end result, which is over there, but we're making all these turns and twists, sometimes turning around backwards, and then we're going sideways and then around. And ultimately, finally, after 15, 20 years, there it is. Yeah. What if you could do it in 5 years? That's what this show is about. And that's what Chris is here to help with students, to help them to get on the right path sooner, which I wish I had that knowledge as well, just as Chris admitted he wished he did for himself. That's the good thing, though, Chris. You've been through it yourself. You know the side that you don't want students to go through, that you experienced, and that helps you to help steer them in the correct direction. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I think it's so easy to it just kind of happens unconsciously. We just kind of go along with what we see around us growing up, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with all that, but it might not be what's best for you individually. And I think it's important for students to understand that, yes, that they are connected to their families and their communities and whatever, their universities or whatever else that they might be involved in. But ultimately their lives you're responsible for your own life and your own path, and to find what really speaks to you and what really lights you up. Like, you're not like, we're not doing like the more people that are working and doing things that don't light them up, we're not doing yourself individually ourselves or collectively ourselves any service by suffering through or just slogging through, or life is a struggle, or we have to work we just have to work at these places that we might not like to go to because that's just what we do here. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, this is not saying one thing is, if that's what people are doing, but I think eventually it kind of catches up with people, and that's where that's where like the midlife crisis comes up. Like, we feel like there's you mentioned books. There's a great book on not called Midlife Crisis, but called The Middle Passage. And it's about, you kind of like the two, like the first adulthood is like ages 20 to 40. And we kind of act out all the things we learn from the people around us. And then we get to mid-life or mid-career or whatever it might be. And then realize this might not be the best thing for me. And then by that point, you might have a family and a lot of responsibilities that it might make it really difficult to get on the path that it really is best for you. So the sooner we can be aware of these things when we're younger, and we might not get there, you might not get to that path when you're 21. It might take some time to get there, but the more that you're aware of who you are and what you value, what your interests are, what excites you. It doesn't mean every day is going to be a picnic. Doesn't mean you're not going to have to do tasks you don't want to do, but the driving vision behind everything is really gonna light you up and excite you. And I think the more, like, there's a lot of pressure on students, and increasingly so. I've seen it the last bunch of years, especially, I think, with how competitive it is to get into college, how expensive it is, how just how organized. Like, I think I just read all these articles on how much teen anxiety there is. And like, I feel like, that's a period of life where there's a lot of anxiety, but I think more and more so. And I think it's unnecessary. I think so kind of, there's a lot of voices coming in and a lot of confusion about, or a lot of options, or not sure where to go, or a lot of anxiety, not sure how to use your voice as a young person, or there's just so many different things that kind of get in the way of, that make it really easy to make the choice of, well, this is what I know, so I'm going to stay here. This is my comfort zone. I'm going to stay here. And that's one thing, again, doing through personal experience, I still, even the more I learn about this stuff, it's still a conscious effort to be like, okay, like realizing, oh, I'm slipping back into that comfort zone, get back into it. It's like two different, it's like a switch, right? It goes, you could turn it from one, like on and off if you're aware of it. But in the beginning, like you just wasn't aware of it. Like it just happens automatically. And it just, yeah, there's just too many, I think there's too many people out there who are just under, so like not just a lot of pressure, but listening to, under the influence of a lot of other voices other than their own. And I think it's good to listen to other voices and take advice, but you really need to seek out the people that speak to you and find the path that works for you. And also, I think it's also, along with that, it's not just about figuring that out at a younger age, but understanding that you're going to change a lot of time. Like who you are at 20 is not who you're going to be at 40.
Isn't that crazy?
And the students, and when you're young, you don't have the perspective of what it's like to be 30 or 40 or 50 and being in a place where you don't want to be, and feeling like you can't change. So it's not just like getting a better sense of your path at a young age, but knowing that you're learning the tools to handle all that, because you're going to take a turn at some point later on, and you're going to need to go through that process again. Like, oh, maybe my goals are different now that I'm 30 or 40 compared to when I was 20. I need to reevaluate where maybe my vision is changing. And these are just things that are being talked about more and more, thankfully, but not enough in the mainstream, and not enough with students who are just like, have a lot of pressure on them to be super high achievers, but maybe not necessarily like do the things that they're interested in.
Yeah, it's a very impressionable age when they enter college, and what parents are doing, unbeknownst to them, when they're paying that ticket to college, is they're paying for a free ride to party for 4 years. And almost I know, and you and I both knew many students, including ourselves, we went in there and we're trying to find our identity. We don't know what that is. We are away from home for the first time in our lives. We don't have the parents looming over us, telling us how to live our lives, when to get up, what we're going to eat, all that stuff. And we're like, what? It's confusing. It's volatile. And it's a very vulnerable time for people, all kids going in. And now the mind is wide open, and it's going to absorb everything that's coming in, input. And then they say, oh, party. And, oh, life is all about go to college, learn great trivia questions, put it on your resume, and go get a job, work that job, and then get your family, do that, get a house, work 40 hours a week, commute if you have to, do whatever it takes. When you're done with the job, retire, and then die. I mean, that's what I got out of it after looking back now. I'm like, whoa. If I had made that picture, like you so astutely said, you don't know this stuff when you're 20 until you have life experience. You look back going, damn. and now you look back, you go, I'm not doing that. And here's the thing I think that's important in what you're doing is you're revealing to these students that there are options. There are options out there that none that you nor I knew existed. There are other options in addition to college, in addition to getting schooling, so you can get that diploma that's becoming more and more worthless as time goes on, to end employers. They all want experience. My son just went through this. He had a degree in marketing and business, and not a single company would take him up unless he had experience. He's like, where am I supposed to get that? I just went through school for the very purpose of, and so it's getting harder and harder. And just to know that there are options that you can, if you are wired to work on your own, start your own business, work with somebody else in a smaller business. But just to know that there are options out there, and to know how to navigate the college landscape like you, Chris, are showing them how to do. So in the education sphere, what's going on in the colleges? It's been a long time since I've been on any campus or in a classroom. You seem to be much closer to that pulse. What is going on right now in education? That might be different than when you and I attended. You're probably way younger than I am, but that
maybe not much, maybe not that much. I don't know.
I
just turned 40. I'm 46, so I just started.
Okay.
Yeah, so
12 years.
I definitely grew up without cell phones and technology and stuff like that. That's a big change, obviously.
Yeah. So what's going on now? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it a little of both? What's going on?
Yeah, it's I think it's definitely both, like most things, it's both. There's a lot of great things that can come out of a residential college experience. It's really like, just think about, like, you're leaving home, maybe usually most people go for the first time. They're away from home for the first time, haven't really been outside of their hometown, most students, and you just get to meet so many people from different states and countries and different backgrounds, and that alone is a great value. It's a great that's almost worth the price of admission. I mean, I think the price is way too high. Like, that's something we'll get into in a second. But it's really, there are so many things to get out of the college experience still, and a lot of it is just exposure to new ideas, because we don't know. Again, we're in high school, and we have these, whatever our influences are, and we think we know ourselves maybe, or what we want to do. And then just getting out there, just having the opportunity to explore is something that I think is, there's less of an emphasis on, because there's so much pressure, so much more pressure. It's something like, it's so much more competitive just to get into college these days. And even as from high school, like applying as an undergraduate, like students have to you almost have to know exactly what you want to study. And that's good. It's good to have an idea, but one of the most beautiful things about the residential college experience is just how many things there are available and how many things there are to explore. And that's kind of tied into the freedom of being away, which is beautiful in one sense, but also really intimidating and really difficult, and can get you very easily, like you mentioned, and about easily getting into like partying all the time, or I'm going to major in business because that's what people are doing, or that's what I think is going to get me a good job someday, even though I don't even know if I'm interested in it or not, or whatever it might be. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but it's more about like you said, like learning about who you are, and it's almost like today. I feel like today there's almost the expectation on students to know who they are before they even get there, like when they're in high school and graduate. And I think that's so unfair. It's unfair. It's unrealistic. And it leads to a lot of, even if you, like, they do stay on that path, here's what I know I want to do, and I'm only going to do this, you lose like a lot of the experience of those growth opportunities. And it's just, I think there's just a lot of pressure, and a lot of that comes with the cost. Like, students are taking out a lot of loans in a lot of cases to go to school, and they're like, I mean, I don't blame students for thinking of, okay, what job am I going to get after that's going to help me pay these back? And that's a fair thing, but that shouldn't be the first thing. I think ultimately it has to be driven by the student and what they want. And if where your passions are, if it's in an area that's not on the top 10 list of highest salaried professions, like, doesn't mean you don't go there. It doesn't mean you abandon yourself to go to that list. And I think that's happening a lot, mostly because of the sticker price of college. I think it's gotten way too expensive. But it still can be a very beautiful growth. It can be such a springboard to a life that is beautiful. It is great. And that is really growth giving, and it allows students to expand themselves and to grow in their interests and to make a contribution in some way to themselves, their families, and their communities. But at the same time, it's really easy to slip into what everyone else around them is doing, what my parents expect from me, what my salary expectations are because of how expensive it is, or just slipping into like partying all the time and stuff like that, which is, it's fun to do. The social aspect is something that should be a part of the college experience. But it's kind of like, I think what I'm learning is what I've learned is like, it's like really has to be a combination. It's not just the academic and professional.
Yes.
It's the what are your hobbies? What are your personal interests? What are your social interests? What are your, like, how do you want to have an impact beyond your individual life? And I think there's just a lot of I think those things aren't emphasized. How expansive the experience could be is not emphasized. I think it's the undergraduate experience has become too professional, like pre-professional. It's too pre-professionalized in a way, like only focus on what the career is going to be. And that definitely has to be a consideration, of course, but it's become overly so. And I think students aren't maybe taking advantage of, and this is not to, I mean, some people do. I think just on a whole, like, just not always kind of wary of generalizing, but I think it's really easy just to get caught up in all those different things and the voices of other people, and not really follow your passion. Yeah. And I think, like you said, there's also a lot of other options. College is still a great option. It's a great option. It can grow. You can grow in so many ways. You meet all these great, wonderful people, but with technology, like, it's easy it's so easy. Not that it's easy to start a business, but it's much easier to like start your own venture if you have that inclination and have an idea. So like maybe college isn't, if the college path isn't right for an individual student, like there are, it's much easier to like do other things these days, I think, than say like when then I didn't feel like there were any other options really. Like I didn't know, I'm like, oh, high school, college, get a job, right? Like that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what people do, or what else would I do? Like there didn't feel like there were a lot of other options other than that. And now I think today in in this year, 2023, now there's so many, there are other paths that students need to be aware of if it fits them better.
Yeah, I think it's a two-way street. You know, it's so important to know what you do want to do, that you do like to do. It's equally as important to know what you don't like, but you don't know either until you go through the process of taking the different courses and going down different paths and finding out, yeah, oh, maybe, no, not at all. And then you can start, and this is the way life works. Even now, Chris, I don't know if you agree with this, but I'm 58 and I'm still adjusting course as I go through life and saying, I like this, I'm going this direction. Okay, I think I like it even more if I just course correct a little bit. And then, ooh, that was the wrong turn. I'm going to go back the other direction. And it just never stops. I think we just get better at it, and we're better at fine tuning it, and we're heading more in the right direction than we were when we were younger. But when you're younger, you don't know where to turn. You could do a 360 and not know if you're pointing the right direction. You just have to go forward in any direction to determine if that's the direction you want to continue on, and then adjust your course as you go accordingly. Does that all help? What do you think? Explain how life works when you're young.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we definitely get better at it. You know, the more we're out there doing different things. But yeah, you have to try it. Like it's not just about I think expectations are a big thing. Like it's openness and expectations. Like if you're trying something, and if you're I think in your mind, if you're telling yourself something has to work out a certain way, and it could so easily not work out exactly that way, but it could still be really good. But you might think, oh, that's not my thing. But maybe your expectations kind of really like make the experience not what it could be. It could be maybe something like that, like learning to be open, to have, being driven by that vision and what those interests are, but being open to the experience as well, not needing it to be a certain way, like letting it play out and giving it time. I think patience is a wonderful thing as well. Like, right. Like these days, everything happens so quickly, and people there's no attention span anymore. And like, we need to slow down and stop, like give things some time. Like like just because even if you take one course in a field that maybe you're exploring and don't like it, that could be a reason not to go there again. But it could also be, maybe it was just that one course. Maybe, if you really have an inkling to try it, like try it again. I mean, if you're trying something 20 times, maybe you should go to something different, but like can't let life has to be just a process of trial and error in that way. And allowing for it, like the mistake is not a mistake. It's just feedback. It's learning. You learn something from that.
And it could be that individual would have loved that course. It was just the instructor that rubbed them the wrong way, or they didn't connect with. I mean, there's so many moving parts to every part of this. And it's like, oh my gosh, I was just looking at this, on professional football, you have a quarterback currently in the league that was the #1 draft pick and a Heisman Trophy winner who got let go by a team. I mean, just said, bye, get out. One of the best quarterbacks talent-wise. Well, he was in the wrong system. He moved to another system that was more attuned to his style of play, and now he's flourishing once again. And it's similar in life. It's like, it doesn't mean that what that situation is horrible, in all-encompassing horrible. Is look at every piece of it and go, well, maybe the leader is not somebody I connect with. So try that vocation again, but go after a different company or a different leader in that case. I was curious, what are some like tangible obstacles that you can think of that that young adults are facing right now in education and then in going into their career? What are things that are holding them back? Is it in their mind? Is it societal? What is it that's keeping students from being the best that they want to be?
Yeah, I think a lot of it kind of, some of them are things we mentioned already. There's like just the pressure, either to achieve or to get to that final, to go from where they are to the end point already, and not like, I want to go from where I am to having that job where I'm secure and whether financially or it's fulfilling or whatever, and not letting the process play out. You're not going to like the expectation to, I think, to go through college and get your first job out and you're going to make whatever you think you're going to make 6 figures or whatever right off the bat or whatever it may be. And that doesn't happen. It could be disappointing if your expectations are there. But if you see it as, okay, like, here's my starting point. This is the start of my growth journey. Like, I think there's like the way that we look at it. Like if it's just a path towards an end result, that's where I think a lot of issues can come up. But if it's like there's an emphasis on this is the beginning of my adult journey, which is about growth and learning about who I am. And like you said, like maybe like learning who I am so I can get to the point where I know the conditions that'll make me happy or satisfied, or I mean, happiness is kind of a tricky word sometimes, but like, so we won't get too much into that, but like where will I be, quote unquote, either successful or fulfilled? And that might be, like you said, it might be the right career, but maybe you're working in a big company and you need to work in a smaller company. Maybe it's the type of boss you're working for. Maybe for me, it's been, I always feel like I work better, or I didn't work as well within highly structured organizations. And like, it was nice to go in and like, oh, they tell you what to do and you do it. And I go home and I, whatever, at 5 o'clock and then whatever I go, yeah, then work is over and the other things happen. But for me, like, and that's okay. I guess that if that's aligned with who you are, that's great. But for me, I always felt that there was something like my skills or my interests weren't really, I wasn't able to tap into those things in that really rigid structure. So for me, I'm learning, this is why, one of the reasons why I'm starting this venture is to get to allow myself the space to do things, not just to do things the way I want, but to let my ideas flourish or my creativity or do things the way that I like, that maybe I couldn't do. I definitely couldn't do it at my last position. So that's something that and that's not for everybody, but that's something we need to, like, young people, well, and older people, all people, but especially, we're talking about young people, like, need to learn about who they are and what situations are conducive to their best growth and to their flourishing. And that you don't know that without failing, that you're gonna fail. And I don't even want to call it failure. It's feedback, it's learning. And it's not a mistake. It's, you learn something about yourself and then, okay, this isn't the right situation for me. And then you can ask you can reflect. If you don't like the job that you're at, you can reflect. Is it the actual work? Is it the type of organization? Like, here, there are tangible things that you can reflect on and then course correct. You can go to a different company, or maybe you do need to go to a totally different industry. Like, there's ways to do that without feeling stuck in that position. Or, I studied this thing for 4 years and spent all this money. Now I have to stay here and I can't change. There's my parents. There's my parents expect me to be this. And these are all valid. These are all real things. And I'm not, and there's no blame anywhere. There's no anything, but I think it's, results are important, obviously, but I think there needs to be more, the students need to be taught way before college, that life is a growth process. And like,
and it's okay to course correct and to be wrong.
You're supposed to put yourself out there and try different things and figure, that's the only way to figure out where you get to end up,
everything is focused on, like you were saying, the result, and rarely on the journey to get through that result. And you're saying a lot of great stuff about, another fantastic side benefit of going to an actual college is you're developing your social skills, and you are getting and learning and refining what your own identity is. And even that changes over time, but at least you are getting the cornerstone, the baseline. That is not what your parents told you your personality should be or your identity is. Your identity is not your vocation, by the way. Like, if someone says, I am a heart surgeon, well, okay, that's your vocation. That's not what you are. That's your vocation. It's a great thing that you do that, and that you identify with the fact that that's your vocation. That's great. But who are you truly inside? It's so much deeper than just that. And I think it's very important that people, especially parents, recognize the fact that they are, I'm one of them, they're going to make a lot of mistakes, a lot of them. Some are pretty bad, can be bad, financially hurtful, maybe physically hurtful at times. But it's that time to let go and let them live and make those mistakes, because when they're young, that's when they can recover from them better and then get past them and then look back and go, man, I'm never doing that again. That's a great life lesson. They could only learn that by going through it. And if they didn't have the college experience, that might not happen. And so there are great things to come from it. So you talked about, or I talked about, I brought it up. It was part of your bio. And I love this topic. It's on limiting beliefs. And I was curious, what is it you teach the students on limiting beliefs, and how does that end up helping them in your experience?
Yeah, this has become one of the, I think it's become a really a focus of my own. Like, this is something I only really started to focus on in the last few years of my life, but it's been such a, I've been so grateful. It's been like a godsend to have been introduced to these ideas through different people and coaches that I've worked with and mentors who are, because I've always known that I love teaching and I want to help young people grow. But it's not just, like you said, the vocation is important, but that's not all of you. And the other things affect that. And all the other aspects of your life could affect your career. It's not just your career path. And there are things that can get in the way. Like if you, for me, it was a lot of anxiety and, depression at times. And a lot of it's like beliefs that I had about myself that were holding me back, that I didn't even know I didn't even know what limiting beliefs were for most of, probably until I was like maybe 40 or so a few years ago. Like I'm 46 right now. Like it's opened up so much, but it also makes you face things that are not easy. They're not easy. There's no quick fix. There's no magic bullet. And they're things to look at, like how are these things affecting me? Like, and there's so many of them. It's I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not this enough. Like there's a million different ones for anyone can have, and things that we might not even know that usually they're unconscious for a while. Like they're just things that we accept until, I think for me it became, and it's one of the reasons why. It's almost like a cause and effect. It was like I knew I always had this tendency towards like wanting to start a business. Throughout my life in different stages, I had different ideas that I wanted to do, and I always had this inkling to do that. But I was like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough money. I can't do that. No one's going to listen to me. Whatever it might be. And now I've gotten to the point where like I had that feeling to do something and didn't. Or I did it a little bit, but didn't dive fully in. And that happened at different stages in different areas, not just in education. Like in my 20s, it was like I was interested in filmmaking and was doing that, but not really really afraid. I'm like, how am I going to make money for the rest of my life doing this? There's so many people doing this, especially like in artistic fields. I think in creative fields, I think that comes up. But for me, like this, one of the main reasons I think it pushed me over the edge to actually separate from my past position to launching this current venture, which is in its early stages, was that this is where I need to go for my personal growth. And this is where leadership comes up. It's like, here's where I am. Here are the things that are stopping me. Here's where I want to go. And what are those blocks? Those things that are blocking me are not real, but they're things that I really, I believe that they're things that I learned over the years for whatever reason that are stopping me. And once you kind of, so with students, I would, ask them to, we a lot of it comes up in conversation through like a lot of conversation, a lot of talking with students, like what about their interests and values, what really lights them up, and then okay, well, what's stopping you? And then eventually in that conversation it comes up, well, my parents want me to do this, or I don't think I'm good enough in this field. All that, like they come out, and the phrase is whatever the phrase is, and there could be multiple ones, like it comes out through the getting to know the student and talking with them. And then we say, okay, now we know what it is. And that's a great thing. Like it could be terrifying to look at, but it's great to identify it, because now we know what to focus on and what to isolate and say, here's the thing we need to work on that's stopping you from being what you want to be, and to go in the direction you want to go in. So that's something that, again, has been like a godsend in my life, and still in the early stages of moving past, I'm still moving through those things. And it's not a one and done. You realize it and then it's over, but it's all about awareness and being self-aware, being conscious of your thoughts and why you do the behavior, why you do the things that you do every day in different areas of your life. Why am I studying this thing? Why am I going to this activity? Why am I talking to this person? It could, why am I friends with this person? What am I not the benefit, but what's the attraction here? Like, what is this speaking to? And it could be speaking to something really healthy. It could be speaking to something that maybe is not good for you. And you need to like look at and say, yeah, if I really want to develop myself and to go and be the best version of myself, maybe I have to let go of that activity or that person, or even people. It's really difficult to say I need to let go of people in my life.
Yes.
At least for a certain time being. So that's it's through, like with students, like I think it's a little bit easier maybe when you get to be, if you have a bunch of life experience, 30, 40, 50, it's easier to say, oh, I know exactly what's holding me back. It's a little bit more, it takes a little bit more time or more, because I think, with younger people, like don't have it through no fault of their own, like not as much experience to have had things get in their way. So but it comes out eventually in conversation and interaction. And so part of it, yeah. So that's why I like working with students at least over a semester, if not over a longer period of time, like just because it takes time to get to know students and to see their patterns, and then once it's identified, it's about, here are some strategies to overcome it, and then it's accountability. It's doing those things over time, because changing a habit is difficult. It's not just I want to get. I mean, that's why New Year's resolutions don't work. It's like people go to the gym for a couple of weeks and then the old habits just kick in. You have to really be focused and conscious of when you're slipping back into that old stuff, and like, no, I don't want to go there. Here's the thing that I don't know. Healthy people go to the gym. So here I'm gonna do what this type of person does. I'm gonna make, you almost have to like make yourself into the person that does those type of things. And habit changing takes time, and so that's why like I really love working with students over a longer period of time to help them with not just the awareness but the accountability. It's really a repetition of those new actions, and having support. And if something's going wrong, they can reach out to me and say, I'm feeling that this is happening, and I'm like, okay, like remember what we said. You coach them back into like not going down that habit they don't want to do, or that thing. But here's the thing that I want to be doing. And
I mean, what a great concept to have someone like you as a mentor while they're going through college, to help them navigate this journey and all the steps, the peaks and valleys. And for parents of these students and students themselves, what would your advice be to them, that there's a signal coming up that maybe repetitively that says, you know what, this is a time I think that we need to pull Chris Carr into this equation and get them a coach that can help them navigate these waters? What are those things that a parent and or student need to be aware of, that they see that signal? Okay, I'm going to reach out to Chris.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of things. Well, I think there are definitely certain signals, but I think it's good to have stuff like that, like coaching on this level helps. If students not doing well on a course or something like that, it takes real. I was astonished by like the statistic I read. I think only about 40% of students that start college finish in 4 years.
True,
which astonished me. And it was in 6 years, it only goes up to 60% of students that finish their degree in 6 years. So like, there's this expectation. Like again, what's the thing we're told? High school, 4 years of college, get a job, house, whatever, all these things. And they get there, and like, if you do poorly in one class, it's like it's not that far, and then you get down on yourself. It's not that far before maybe you're on probation or even suspended or something like that. It's really it's a really slippery slope. It's a really quick decline, and I think it's a lot of times it's difficult to even manage. For parents, I think need to give their students the freedom to develop themselves, but also need to be, I think that's why it's good to have someone who's not a family member and not an employee of the school that the students go to be on their side. Like for me, like I position myself as like, I am the ally of the student. I'm on your side, no matter, like in all areas, to help you.
And because of that, you are also by proxy the ally of the parent. That's important.
Yes.
Right. So the parent doesn't look at you going, yeah, but great, I'm glad you're helping out my kid, but they're going for their 6th year and I'm paying for it. Well, maybe they would have gone through 8 if they didn't go and see Chris earlier. But I went through 4.5. It wasn't a long time, but mine was due to, I couldn't even get some of the classes that were part of my major. They were impacted. There are so many reasons that caused this to happen. So I ended up finishing it off in summer school so I could just be done. And luckily, the classes I needed were available in summer school. Otherwise, it would have been another full semester and another full summer of paying rent at this apartment, all that. And so, there's so much stress, so much pressure, a lot of that going on. And oh my gosh, I think you've hit the nail on the head. An impartial third party, i.e. you, a mentor or coach, This is what I teach and train all the time in the business realm is, I mean, come on, Michael Jordan, one of the greatest, if not the greatest basketball players who ever played, he had coaches and mentors all the time. And he paid a pretty penny for not just his team coaches where they were already covered, but he would bring in trainers like physical trainers to work out and just all kinds of specialty coaches. And why aren't we telling our kids to experience that from day one? Because that will only help them to excel in life in a much quicker manner by going down the right path quicker, by being told by a mentor like you, Chris, yeah, you really don't want to go down the path you're headed. And here's why. Okay, lesson learned. I don't have to go through the next 3 to 4 to 5 months of doing the wrong thing. I now know it's the wrong thing. Course correct, because Chris gave me the right direction. And now you have a happy student, happier anyway, and you have a much happier parent. My God, I can tell you, I would have been happier. I had I had 2 kids who went through college too. So what you do is an absolute godsend. And I'm so blessed to be able to have a platform in which to raise the voice of Chris Carr so people know you exist. This is a very unique, I've never heard of it. It's such a great thing you're doing. You're like a college student mentor. It's like, and even probably high school as well. Do you also mentor? Okay.
So I start to hopefully get them like at the end of high school and as they're going to college and then through college. But it's, the focus is on the college experience. But it also works for students that aren't going to college or taking a break before they go, or even if you graduated from college, and aren't sure of where you're going in your young adult life. It works for a lot of different ages, but helping students navigate that college experience, and it works for students that are high achievers too, like not just students that are not doing well. Like it works for how do I go from where I am to go to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, even high achievers are so focused on that achievement, they don't realize there's a whole world out there. Like, hey, I'm crushing it and I know how to do this. I'm awesome at math, but hey, this art thing, I never knew it even existed. Let me try that out. And they might be really good at it. Right.
Yeah.
And there's all those things. We're getting short on time here, but I know you have a gift. Go ahead.
And one more thing about even the high achievers, like it could be not just helping them find their path. They might, like at Brown University, my last job, we're like helping students applying for like the Rhodes Scholarship. These are really high performing students, but managing the process, those limiting beliefs, like that was one of the biggest things I was doing with a lot of the students. It was a 6-month process to apply, and they were really anxious and they didn't think they were good enough. And they read the bios of the past winners and like, I can't compete with these people. I'm like, yes, you can. Here's the next step. Do the next step. And taking them through. So it works for people that don't know where they're going. It works for people who do know where they're going. It works on a lot of different levels. And I love the example you gave about like, people who are super high performers, like whether it's athletes or who are business, every CEO probably has a business coach. Like why aren't, when we're young, there's this mentality of like, we have to figure it out ourselves. It has to be, we have to go through it alone when we're young and then get to that successful point. And it just doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. It shouldn't be that way. And you can become a more rounded individual that they're always trying to make you in college by getting external assistance and guidance from people like Chris Carr, who would mentor them through it. Now we're getting to the end here, Chris, and I always like to ask this one question. I haven't forgotten everybody. We have not only one gift, but 2. I didn't mention this earlier in the show, but Chris has a gift for everyone here. So don't go anywhere. We're not done yet. But Chris, I like to end every show with a very, what I call a profound question. And I found it to be profound kind of on accident because I would ask it on occasion. And I thought, wow, these answers, they're pretty amazing. I'm gonna close every show out with this from now on. And they're really cool. They can be personal, or they don't have to be personal. But they're very powerful. The answers all, and yours will be too. There will be no exception. But before we do that, I did promise everyone who stuck with us till the end that I would show them how they could win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Again, compliments of the Big Insider Secrets. You see their emblem up there above Chris's left shoulder on the right of the screen as you watch. One moment. And what I want to do is reveal to you how you can enter to win. Now, when I bring this and put this up on the screen and tell you where to go, write it down. Don't go there yet. Okay, just like in the beginning, Write down the resource. There will be time for you to enter after the show is over. Don't sweat it. You got a couple hours, so don't worry about that. So I'm going to put it up on the screen to enter to win. And boy, I'm telling you, if you're watching, you do want to enter to win because these are legitimate vacation stays. Here's what you do. Write this down. RYP, that stands for Reach Your Peak, which is my company's name. RYP.im/vacation. All lowercase. So RYP.im/vacation. Drop that into your browser. And all you have to do is enter your information in there. You will be automatically entered, and the winner will be announced and contacted directly on how to get that incredible prize and choose the vacation of your dreams going in any of those destinations you saw from earlier. And then this little birdie, well, maybe not that little, but this guy named Chris Carr told me they also might just have a gift for you. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen. And Chris, I'll let you describe what it's about and how they can enter to or connect with you to get this gift as well.
Yeah, so just want to connect with people who might be either have a student who's entering college or even in college, or like I said, even at maybe beyond in the early adult years, but just a way to just to connect with a free consultation to talk about how I can support your student or the young adult that you have who's, like I said before, like either maybe not sure of where they want to go, or even if they are sure and want to really take it to the next level, it works either way. But I would love to hear from people and love to have a conversation with you about what where your student is and where they want to go and how we can get them there.
And for parents and students alike, you might be thinking, I'm not so sure about this. This is a new concept. Well, here's a way to find out. It's free. It costs you nothing. And you can look at Chris. You can listen to him. You can see that he is not going to be one of those hard sale artists that's going to, put your thumbs in a screw and torture you until you say yes. He's not that way. He's just going to say, this is what I do. What are you looking for? And are we a fit? If we are, let's talk to the next step. But at least you now know and you're aware that a service like this exists. Before this show, I didn't know this existed anywhere in the world. It probably does. I don't know. Maybe Chris is the one and only. I think it's a phenomenal service he provides. Now it's up to you to reach out to him, and we'll give you that information just in a moment, how to do that. And just find out, is it a fit? That's it. You can see he's a pretty easygoing guy. He's not going to, he won't bite. In fact, he can't, because you probably won't be meeting physically together. So just reach out. He's a nice guy, you can tell. And he has a great heart. You can just see it and feel it right now as we're talking about him. So let's put up your contact information, Chris, and you can tell them what the best way for them to reach out to you, what to say or what to type to remind you that this is why they're coming to you.
Yeah, either call or text or that email. If you put Mind Body Business in the subject and consult, like free consult, and just in the email, if you send an email or a text, there's a little description that you want to connect, and there's also a LinkedIn, and also OnePointMentorship.com will be up very shortly. That's in the works. That'll be a website where this will all be centralized there. But for the time being, phone or email, text, just reach out, and it's, like Brian said, very easygoing. Just connect. I would love to hear from you.
And for those of you listening on podcast, and by the way, you do want to come on and watch this live so you can enter to win that wonderful thing. Plus, you get to interact with us. We do get questions from the audience and put them up on screen and give you a shout out as well. But for those of you listening on podcast only, his phone number is 917-270-6721. And again, text him and mention Mind Body Business. And also, if you're texting him, put in your name. That would be helpful. And if you want to email him, in there, your name may be part of your email, but also include your name just in case. Christopher, that's CRISTOPHER .H, as in what?
Henry.
Henry. I was going to say Harry. I didn't want to mess it up.
It's CH.
H as in Henry. Pardon?
In the beginning, Christopher is CHRIS. You said CRIS. Sorry.
Oh, CHRIS.
Yeah, CHRIS.
I said it incorrectly. I'm sorry. Yeah. CHRISTOPHER. Thank you for correcting me. .H. Seriously. .Carr with 2 R's. CARR @gmail.com. And just in the subject line, like you said, put Mind Body Business or free consultation for my student or for me as a student. Put in your name and your best way to get for him to reach back out to you. Take advantage of this, really. Please take advantage of this offer, but do not take advantage of Chris. Be mindful of his time and be respectful of his time. He's a professional. He's here to help you or your student, depending on who's watching or listening to this right now. And I commend you, Chris, and I'm so thankful that Amy Scruggs connected us. Thank you, Amy, for that. An amazing young man, and I'm very blessed to have made your acquaintance and now call you a friend. And that's it, Chris. We're now family. You know, you can't choose family, and that's it. We're done. So
yeah, great.
I don't want to weird you out. I'm just having fun. But
I'll be over for dinner tomorrow night.
Okay. Hey, we're not far apart. We know that we're not far apart. So yeah, just a few minutes down the road. So I did mention this question. So the cool thing about this question that it's coming right now, Chris, get ready. But the really cool thing about it is there is no such thing as a wrong answer. It doesn't exist. And the really cool thing is the only correct answer is yours. And that's the only thing that makes it personal, because your answer will be unique to you. How do I know this? I've been doing this for 3 years. No two answers have ever been exactly the same. That's what's so profound about this thing. So with all that buildup, now that you're sweating profusely from the forehead, I'm kidding.
I have no time to study. Like the academic in me wants to study more, but I'm ready for it.
All right. So Chris, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Chris Carr, how do you define success?
Success. I think that, the foundation of it is a lot of things we've talked about, or one of the main things is self-awareness and I think consciousness as well. Like really is connected to who we are, what are our individual goals and values and interests, and that's something we can only define for ourselves. It's very easy. I think there's a lot of easy definitions for success that are given to us or shown to us. A lot of them have to do with material things, which is that's great as well. Like it being, but I think going right to there without connecting personally to what success means. It could mean a high-powered career. It could mean being an amazing caretaker for your children at home. It could be an amazing cook. It could be, you throw really great parties for your neighborhood. I don't know. It could be anything. It could be whatever you love doing. I think success is doing what lights you up. And that could take whatever. For me, it's helping young people to grow. And also I'm a drummer, so I love playing music as well. For me, music is another a close second to helping young people is drumming and playing music. So that's part of what lights me up. And success is, I think, sharing that gift with other people and connecting with other people around the gifts that we have, and the just to raise the the vibration of the people around us and ourselves. And I think the success, all the like monetary success and things like that, come as a byproduct of doing things that really light us up.
That is what I call a bomb dropping moment right there. Oh yeah. That's right. Smart bombs of wisdom, bombs of knowledge. That is Chris Carr to a T right there. Thank you so much for spending all this wonderful time, Chris. I mean, I truly enjoyed this discussion because of it was a little bit of a turn from what I'm normally used to talking about. And I really enjoyed thoroughly, because everything you're talking about is going to help students and their parents. That's the beautiful thing. It's not just helping one person. It's helping a family. And all they have to do is reach out to you at no cost for an initial consultation, just to test the waters. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that, when you get in touch with Chris, just be sure to come with that in mind, to know that his time is valuable. He could be helping others and serving others, and be focused about, well, Chris, I have a student and I would like to look at maybe bringing on your services. Let's have a chat. What is it I need to know about what you do? And you can get into the cost and all that later, but find out if it's fit first and then move forward. But be respectful of his time, as I know he will be of yours. You can just tell he's that kind of guy. You're a great guy, Chris, and I appreciate what you're doing. What you're doing is serving. It's such a need, and I saw it immediately. I hadn't even met you yet. I read your bio, and your background, like, oh my God, where was this when I was a kid? This
Right.
is awesome. So thank you for what you do for everyone. And please continue to do it as long as you're humanly possible. And if that means scaling your business, bringing on consultants to take over what you're doing daily, do whatever it takes. I hope you crush it and spread this far and wide so that our students come out of college or go into college, leave high school, and then go into life more prepared, and they live a more fulfilled and happy life. And their parents are happier as well. So I appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Oh, yes, it's been an absolute blast. So, all right. Well, all good things, as they say, must come to an end. They don't really have to. We could go on for several more hours because I'm not paying for studio time. I'm just respectful of Chris's time and in all honesty, yours as well, the watchers and viewers, so and listeners, I should say. So on that note, we will call it a night, and I appreciate you again, Chris. On behalf of this amazing gentleman, Chris Carr, I am Brian Kelly, the host of the Mind Body Business Show. And until we meet again, which is very, very soon, in about a week, I just want to say to all of you, continue to go out there and crush it and serve more people. And above all else, be blessed, everyone. Take care for now. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.